Hello and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday with me, Ryan, aka Mac. This is a weekly show which covers everything from the world of Star Citizen over the past week. Links to everything discussed can be found in the description below, so let's get on with it. This week we have 2 10 for the Chairmans, 2 Around the Verses, plus 2 Prospector Q&As. A huge thank you goes out to all my patrons for your monthly contributions. Your support truly helps me get these videos to you. If you enjoy what I do and would like to help from as little as $1 a month, please check out my Patreon page. In return, I offer patron-only giveaways and gaming sessions with me as a way to say thank you. If you are still to sign up to the RSI website, please use my referral code as shown on screen or in the description, and you'll receive 5,000 United Earth credits which can be spent in the Voyager Direct store for your ships, your character, or whatever you choose. You don't have to spend anything to sign up. It's only once you pledge that I'll be granted an RP point, which will get me some little rewards in the future. So, kicking off this week, we have 10 for the Chairman, episode 83. Now, I hopefully have got episode 84 and both the Around the Verses in. I'm trying to get as much of the information in as possible that from the week that we've missed. So, first question, will we be able to turn off lights inside our ships? And he says, yes, the Item System 2.0 will allow for more control and functionality in your ships. For example, with multi-crew seats or stations, you can designate controls to particular seats or stations within your ship. Also, there'll be power distribution, etc. So you can turn off lights, you can lock down doors, you can turn off power to specific systems or areas, and also turn off the gravity generator. You will have the ability to micromanage internal systems, so taking over a ship, you could cut the power to certain parts, and vice versa if you are trying to defend a ship. Also, security access will come with 2.0 item system. Your computers or your CPUs will have different cores, so you can maybe if you have a 1-core CPU on your avionics system, it will process data within about 5 to 6 seconds, for example. If you have a dual core, it will take half the time, about 3 seconds. So this will also play into the whole customization of your ship. Another example he gave is that life support will have an oxygen pipe connected to the life support unit. If that unit was destroyed, then no oxygen will be coming in and you'll need to get into a spacesuit, so this could be another way for boarders to aid themselves in taking over the ship. There will be power nodes throughout the ship, and if one gets damaged, then systems will begin to shut down. The engineer will then need to either repair, replace, or reroute the power. Very, very cool. And this was the last stretch goal we got, I believe, for extra ship functionality, and it's so close. So next question. Are there plans for maintaining individual engine controls or engine stress? Maybe turning up or down the power or the fuel mixture? And he says, yes, definitely. Bigger ships engineers can try to push more out of the engines, like we see in Firefly with Kaylee. He says they will likely sell overclocking modules as well, in particular for racing ships. But there'll be a trade-off. So the more power or fuel that you push out, it will increase the heat output or potentially damage the engine. You will have the ability to overclock weapons and components. This will also work for rovers, buggies, and even armor suits. And he says that your power suit will have attachments like a life support module, power plants, and EVA, and you can swap them in and out as you see fit. Really excited for that one. So, third question. What is the status of the Redeemer? And he says the bloke who has designed it, who was part of the next great starship, is in Foundry 42 at the moment, working on Squadron 42 ships. Chris Roberts thinks that he should be the one to address the Redeemer, as it was him that designed it, so they're waiting for him to finish the Squadron 42 ships he's on, and then he'll move on to that one. Next question, how in-depth will the reputation system be? And it's not going to be black and white like we see in 2.3 at the moment. You'll have personal reputations and organisation reps. Every time you come into contact with an individual or an organisation, you will start with a neutral status. All information gets tracked, and negative and positive actions will get taken into account. It's going to be a combination of personal plus other groups you're publicly a member of. Star Citizen does not have a good guy, bad guy status. It's going to be more nuanced than that. Next question is, will we have to buy new guns every time we lose them when Persistence goes live? And he said if you damage your ship, then you will need to pay for repair. What will eventually happen is different kinds of insurance, so you'll have hull insurance for your overall ship, and then you can buy additional insurance for items or weapons. It all depends on what insurance you have, but if you keep claiming, then your rates will rise, and eventually they may not want to insure you anymore, so you don't want people abusing the insurance system. They're going to work in some systems to stop this abuse, and things like penalties for losing your ships. Maybe you'll have to wait a longer time to get your new ship. This is why they have the baby PU to test all these systems out, so instead of it going straight to live and having all these problems, people taking the piss and taking advantage of these systems, we're going to iron it out for them because there's thousands of us wanting to play it. Just gets it into our hands quicker. Question after that is, can you show a back view of your ship using a second display? And Chris thinks it's a nice thought. The issue is that CryEngine does not support multicam reviews. Also, this doubles your rendering time.
Short term, there is no secondary camera view. Longer term, he says, they'll look into it. The other possibilities, he says, is having the viewer client, so you can log into the server and see a camera like a traffic cam, which may help them down the line when they decide to implement this. So fingers crossed we will get that eventually. Second to last question, what will CIG do after Star Citizen is finished? He says that Star Citizen is never going to be finished. The universe will go on so long as people are willing to play it. They will always be adding new features. He says they will have a minimal feature list for a commercial release, something that they think is viable for 1.0 as a finished game or as a final sort of launchable product. And then they will continue to work throughout the years. They'll be updating graphics, adding functionality, adding new space systems, new races, plenty of things to go with. Also, he says with the Squadron 42 trilogy, once that's done, they may look into different stories, maybe not a military story, maybe a more of a Han Solo style adventure, which is just incredible. Looking forward to that. So, final question. Will you use motion capture on animals for basic animal animations? And if you don't know, pets was one of the stretch goals, so you can have your very own Jones walking around your ship. Cats, dogs. And he says they will likely use some form of motion capture. They will have alien pets as well, including wildlife. Lots of fun to have with it down the road after the main features are complete. Anyway, that was your 10 for the Chairman. A really good 10 for the Chairman. Good one to kick it off with. So in 10 for the Chairman, episode 84, the first question is, what can we expect for clothing in the first implementation? Plus, what effects will they have, like bulletproof effects and so on and so forth? Now he says social clothes will be included, like trousers, jackets, t-shirts. We'll have them in multiple colours, etc. There's going to be a lot of them. Plus, you can buy armour sets and flight suits. I think we'll all be starting off in the light marine armour suit, and then you can earn your medium marine armour suit by killing an outlaw, and the outlaws will, I expect, he didn't say anything, but I expect they will increase in outlaw suits by committing crimes. So these suits won't be in the Squadron 42 or PU. These were the Star Marine suits we saw coming, but these, apparently there's a much better pipeline now, a whole step above this. This is just for this iteration. They will be sold in ArcCore and on Olisar. Armour will give a protection, but the item 2.0 will have more of a sophisticated system with armour and life support, etc. It's in progress, but it won't be in with 2.4. More likely 2.5, 2.6, but again, we don't put dates on these things. But he did mention that clothing and things will keep you protected and keep you warm, so it sounds like if you visit an ice planet, you will need more layers of clothing and so forth, just to keep warmer, which is very nice. I never thought about that. Next question. Has your past experiences in games influenced Star Citizen development? And he said yes. He says the big focus, which is from previous games, is on how gameplay revolves around groups of friends. Obviously, you can play it completely solo, but they want to emphasize multi-crew. He says there's an exciting next stage of communication coming. It's in the early stages now, but you'll be able to organize groups and chat groups, etc. in-game and not in-game, so you can chat with friends playing the game while you're offline using your mobile. Very nice. Next question. What happens to your ship when you log off, particularly if you're in a long haul as a trader or freighter? He said if you have beds in your ship and you're not in combat or being threatened or in a threatening area, then you can go to your bed and safely log off. If you don't have a bed, you'll have to land planetside or in a space station and then go to like an easy hab pod and log off that way. You can't just save in the middle of combat or in an unsafe area and then log off. They're going to make sure that doesn't happen. So if you do start attacking someone, they can't just quickly log off and disappear. If you are in a void of space and there's nothing around you, then you can log out and your ship will just disappear. But again, in regards to hauling, if you are hauling some goods, the price that your goods are at that point that you log off may change when you log back in, depending on how long you take. And so, that's just the what you would incur, basically. But anyway, the next question. Could the Hull class ship have the ability to carry a Prospector, or will the Prospector be able to jump? And he says yes, the Prospector does have its own jump drive. It is designed to be a personal mining ship specifically for mining, where you fill up your containers, hand it off to a bigger ship like the Hull series, and then they'll go and sell them or do whatever they need to do. They're not sure whether the Prospector can be attached to a hull. Maybe on the bigger Hull series, like they did say before, maybe you can transport Hornets on your sort of size Hull C or maybe a Hull D up. So potentially we can transport a Prospector, but it's undecided. Next question is regards to the Constellation. Can we expect to deploy the Merlin anytime soon? Now they say it's on schedule, and it comes with the bigger ship stuff like the Adrift landing, so they're getting that working as well. They need this auto landing feature first. Don't expect it for the next 2 releases, but in the near future it will be dropping. They are waiting for the item 2.0 and container object system. The container object system is allowing things inside of things, so you can land a ship inside of another ship, and then that ship can land inside a space station, and you get the idea. So moving on. Is quantum travel to be steerable in the future. And Chris says that no, quantum drive is always in a straight line. It's such a great speed that you cannot adjust it, otherwise you will turn to mush. If something gets in the way, however, you'll be pulled out of quantum drive, and this allows for interdiction, so if you know the trajectory of someone, you can intercept it or you can set up a roadblock. Next question, what controller setup will Chris Roberts use? And he actually says he'll be using his own SciTech controllers, the official Star Citizen controllers. These are specifically designed for Star Citizen to have the best control of the overall game. So if he's going to use it, then I'm pretty sure I'm going to use one as well. Question after that is, will there be any other ways to stop people jumping other than EMP? And obviously we've addressed this with the quantum drive question, but he says they're thinking of several ways about it now. Introduction is being worked on. They don't want people to just jump away every time they get into combat, so things like you've got to spin up your quantum drive, which takes time. Maybe you need to drop your shields to get the power routed to your quantum drive, leaving you vulnerable. And also, after leaving quantum drive, you'll need your engines to cool down, so you can't just quickly enter cruise and keep going. A way of stopping people may be to deploy a gravity well generator to draw the ship from jumping rather than allowing it to just freely go. Currently, what we see for quantum drive and so forth is nothing what it's going to be. It's going to be much more in depth than this. And they are thinking actively of how to help and hinder people who want to quantum drive. So, second to last question. Will you be at Gamescom this year? And they say yes, they will have a presence on the shop floor. It's not going to be a big venue like it was in 2014, 2015. They've got too much going on at the moment, but they will be showing some cool stuff off. The focus is on the shop floor and the press, with a couple of pop-up events to mingle. Last question. Will you still be able to rent weapons with Rec and use them in the Persistent universe when Persistent comes online? And he says no, Rec is only for electronic access, so your games like Arena Commander and eventually Star Marine. Alpha UEC is for Persistence, Rec is just for electronic access. You may be able to buy Rec using Alpha UEC, that we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, that was 10 for the Chairman, episode 84. Hopefully the second one in this week's show. I'm trying to get them all in, so let me know your thoughts. So this is the first of the Around the Verses. This episode is 2.28. Sandy and Ben say that they are internally testing 2.4. It will come to PTU soon. Fingers are crossed. The Reliant and the Gemini, when they go up for sale with the release of 2.4, the prices will change, but they didn't specify on what. So news from Around the Verse, starting with the LA CIG office. They are working on several ships and systems. Item 2.0 is being plugged away on, and they're also chugging away on the Caterpillar with some new concepts, plus the Herald 2, which we'll see in episode 2.2.9. CIG Austin, Texas. On the animation side, they are working on a bunch of ship animations, specifically for the Argo and the Idris. They're doing some background animations for the Persistent Universe and Squadron 42. This is just your basic NPCs doing their daily things. They're also working on analytics for shopping, so what we are buying, where we're buying it, how many we're buying, what colour we're buying, etc, etc. This way they want to ensure that they get more of what we want to us. They also have a try-on camera which pulls out to show off what you're buying, allows you to have a look at yourself so that you can see how cool you look. They are tweaking that at the moment. So CIG in the UK, they are working on the Freelancer and many capital ships, including the Bengal Carrier, the Javelin and the Idris. The character team are working on the Vanduul, and also they're doing some work on gas stations and research stations for the Odin system, which sounds very cool. So Foundry 42 in Frankfurt, they've finished the first pass on Subsumption. They are consistently looking through ship bugs, continued with procedural planet tech. They've got some cool atmospheric progress. They're also refactoring the physics grid to get that to what they want it to be, or to where it needs to be. They're finishing up one weapon, dressing up another, and then they're on final concept for another one. They're polishing the pirate base, which is what we'll see hopefully in 2.4's first drop, where if you're an outlaw you'll be able to land there without being attacked by Crusader security. They've also reviewed the recent Hurston and Olisar updates that have been made, and they're refactoring the FPS suit. So, for the Lawmaker's Guide to the Galaxy, we looked at the Oberon system. So this is an unclaimed system. It has a neutron star, which is the smallest star known. The planet Gonin is where people are searching for diamonds because of its carbon makeup. People believe that there may be a big haul of diamonds there, but so far nothing has been found other than graphite. And they tried to raise the core temperature of this planet to get it terraformed, but they failed, and so now everyone lives underground due to the harsh exterior. It was attacked by Vanduul as well, so thousands have died, but there was a big battle with the 65th Battle Group, and now there is a strong military presence there to sort of repel the Vanduul. Oberon 3 and 4 are proto-planets. Oberon 5 is a Mesid planet. Oberon 6 is a gas dwarf, which is actually the most common planets known in the galaxy, and they're trying to push to get more of these around. And then Oberon 7 is your classic gas giant like Jupiter, for example. So, most valuable post goes to Selby for his galactic transit map. Very cool, and it really makes it more easier to read. And then the ATV fast forward is your AI perception, which looks very cool. Again, I'll shut up and let it play. So straight on to Around the Verse episode 2.29. Sandy and Ben say that the 2.4 is the biggest release since 2.0, or it's about the same. The holotable is going, thank God. They're replacing it with a Moby-Glass system, but the holotable will return down the line. And also they announced BritizenCon, which is on the 23rd of July. It is an unofficial Star Citizen event which has been organised by the community. They did say they will send people there, so some devs from Manchester. It's happening in Manchester as well. I will be there, so if you do go, do say hello. Straight on to news from around the verse. CIG LA office. The Caterpillar is now in white box. It's getting ever so close. And I'll show you a nice little sneaky picture from the subscriber vault. There are some cool concepts for the Dragonfly and the Buccaneer. QA are working on 2.4. People will be happy with it. There are some big changes coming. I cannot wait. Austin CIG, they're working on the port modification system, which is using a Moby-Glass app to change and customize your hanger. You'll also have an inspect weapons mode, much like the try-on camera for your clothing. This shows you checking out your weapon before you buy it, so you can get the full 360 view of it. They're also coming up with a plan for 12 months of shopping, so what shops we'll see, what content we'll get for a full 12 months down the road. Foundry 42 in the UK, they are looking at hairstyles. They're particularly looking at Sophie Wu's hairstyle in Squadron 42, which should be available in the PU when it finally drops. Also, clothing, they're looking at each race and its clothing, so you've got Earth, you've got Terra, the Frontier, etc., etc., plus each society class to those areas as well. There's going to be a lot of clothing, and they're doing some more mocap shoots for random activities of NPCs. So Foundry 42 in Frankfurt, they're working on a big plasma weapon. They're blocking out the final concept for another weapon. They're on the final tech for a big laser cannon. They're looking at performance and optimization, which is always a good thing. More procedural planet tech progress. They say atmospherics is looking very cool, as said in 2.28. Physics grids have had continued work on. Obviously, these need to be quashed because we don't want to be falling out of our ships. They're also working on 2.4 bugs and high-tech weapon effects. So we had a cool little ship shape this week, which was the Herald. So all of you who've been waiting for the Herald, do take a look. I'll put up some footage now, but follow the links in the description to watch it fully. This is your data gatherer or data runner. Currently in white box, but it's more detailed than a normal white box because it had been started before. It's been widened by about 5 to 10% to allow more maneuverability inside the ship. It has data modules which are still to come. The satellite array, as you can see, looks pretty cool, not as big as it used to be. Now it has size 2 missile pods, no wing missiles like it did before. These are now gun mounts, and there's also a nose gun mount as well. It is super fast with a good missile payload and lots of countermeasures. Now the interior is a bit rough, but you've got your entry door looking straight at the weapon racks. There's a console which is being finalized. Also, it has server racks to hold other gameplay components. Now all these consoles and server racks and things are actually going to involve gameplay. They're not just there for the look. You're going to be interacting with them. Has a little kitchenette and toilet, naturally, a rear bed area or couch so you can log off, and the captain's chair is coming soon. So the ATV Rewind this week, which is the Stanton Previs. Now I don't usually include these, but I'd never seen this one before, so I decided I would record it and show it to you all. It's very cool, very obviously years ago this was presented with an idea of what Stanton would look like, or Artcore I suppose, but it does look very nice. So which glitch was up again? I'll leave that running in the background so you can see it. The most valuable post is Engineer for his Star Citizen ship renders. Had a freelancer with Big Benny's skin, very cool. And the ATV Fast Forward is the EVA 3D Velocity Vector concept. Not really sure what this is. It looks interesting, but we'll have to wait for Reverse the Verse to find out. Anyway, that was Around the Verse. Do tell me your thoughts. So with the concept sale of the MISC Prospector, we have 2 Q&A posts just answering some questions that the community have. Starts off by saying the Prospector and its precision mining capabilities make it an ideal candidate for covert jaunts into dangerous space for extraction of small quantities of highly dispersed and valuable commodities. So now that's out of the way, first question is, will the Prospector use the RMAPs like the Orion? And it says no, the Prospector will allow the pilot to search with the ship scanning system using scanners to provide general information to pinpoint nearby mineral pockets, like a metal detector. Compared to the Orion, it will be better at pinpointing specific resources and extracting just that type of mineral, so targeting pockets directly rather than multiple at once. Only ships like the Orion and the Prospector can be used to mine. Ships are not generally jack of all trades, and the Orion and Prospector are equipped with specific hardpoints and other ship equipment to make them operate like pipes, processing equipment, storage tanks, etc. So not every ship can be retrofitted to be a miner. When it comes to transferring containers, there's not much detail yet, but they will be able to be dropped in space and on planets to be picked up and stored by other ships. The Prospector does come with its own jump drive and can fit through small jump points, which is good to know. The containers are compatible with other ships. The Prospector and the Hull series actually make a really good team. The Prospector can keep mining and dumping cargo pods for some time before needing to go back to a station, which allows the Hull series or whatever ship to do all the transporting. They don't have an exact number regarding how deep the laser beam or the tractor beam can work, but expect more information as mining is fleshed out further. It will come with one light shield generator, enough to protect it from hazardous mining areas, but not from sustained fire. It can't really be used as a general cargo ship. The Prospector has specialised setup with processing equipment and collapsible storage crates, but it isn't exactly planned to be a cargo transporter, so I don't think that's going to work out. It does have 128 cargo units, but this is just referring to the cargo crates and the reserved collapsible containers, not the interior space. They did say with several industrial manufacturers expect to see a few options when choosing a mining laser that fits your purpose. Some might be better and quicker at boring to the target, or maybe better at mining lighter or even denser materials, etc. So there's going to be some scope there for customization. The laser can technically be used as a weapon, although it's not designed to cut through shields or armour, and also with the high power draw, low damage and short range, it does not really make an effective weapon either, so don't try and attack people with it. And finally, the Prospector is designed to be operated by and provide facilities for one person. It's not really to be used by two, although I'm sure a friend can tag along if you so want it. Anyway, that was part 1 of the Prospector Q&A. Let's get on to part 2. So carrying on with the MISC Prospector Q&A part 2, they say when it's landed and in the mining state, you can leave it on to mine on its own while you take care of other business, but your productivity will suffer and you will need to manage your heat and power on the laser. Otherwise your mining rate will slow down and you could risk damaging the laser. The enter and exit door is easy to reach in case of an emergency and provides the only escape route. When it comes to harvesting multiple ore and then distributing it into separate containers, they say they're not sure yet how organising will work, but ideally you will be able to mine as many different ores as you want and organise them as you see fit. You will likely see a slight improvement to the ship's responsiveness if you jettison your cargo or your containers. Also, this will change slightly depending on how full they are. The manoeuvrability of the Prospector will be on the poorer side of average. It only needs to manoeuvre around asteroids to get a specific mineral pocket, so it's not going to be hugely manoeuvrable. The Prospector's refining will only remove things like useless rock, whereas the Orion is a far more advanced system. You will encounter different hazards depending on the location and what minerals you are mining, much like we heard with the mining deep dive for the Orion. The large disc underneath the ship, as we see in the concepts, acts as a conduit for the ship scanners. Scanning will be a large part of mining and will be the way to find, obviously, resources. When it comes to self-defense, unfortunately they say the Prospector does not come well equipped for combat, just enough to warn off attackers and withstand some light fire. But if you plan to mine in a dangerous area, it may be worth paying for a fighter escort. It does come with 2 size 1 laser repeaters, 1 light shield generator and some basic countermeasures. There are no current plans for a salvage or repair variant, but in my opinion, I think we'll likely see them as separate entities like we've seen with the Prospector. We have the Reclaimer for salvage. There's likely going to be a smaller one, and then hopefully somewhere in between as time goes on. You will be able to mine both flying in space and landing on a surface. In space, you'll be mining the outer surface of an asteroid. While landed, this will allow for a deeper reach to pockets under the surface, potentially larger and more valuable. The bed is not an escape pod. It is only a means to log off the game, and there is no cage around the cockpit, as they wanted it to have great visibility and adhere to the MISC style. Anyway, that was the final Q&A post for the MISC Prospector. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch, SuperMacBrothers Ryan. For every 50 followers we get up to 2,000, I will be giving away a $10 gift card. It's a lot of fun getting to talk to you all, We have our own private Discord. Do come along and say hello. So that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you for watching, and thank you to our subscribers, plus a massive thank you to our patrons as you make this possible. If you like what we do and want to help us make it better, follow the link in the description to our Patreon page to learn more.